This video is about the mom took her kids to the concert hall, and a rich stranger started a conversation. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the sprawling city of Port Vale. Nestled between the glimmering high-rises and quaint residential areas, the concert hall stood grand and inviting, its towering columns lending an air of sophistication. Inside, the echoes of excited chatter filled the foyer, mixing with the faint strains of a string quartet warming up backstage. Clara Hughes adjusted the collar of her worn denim jacket, a shield against the cool evening breeze that whispered through the hall's entrance. She glanced down at her children, Lily and Max, who were bouncing on their feet, their eyes sparkling with anticipation. Clara had saved for weeks to bring them here, believing that experiencing live music would ignite their imaginations in ways that mundane routines could not. "Mom, can we go find our seats? Please." Lily tugged at Clara's sleeve, her petite frame practically bouncing with energy. At 8 years old, she was a vivid blend of Clara's determination and her late father's creativity, always eager to explore. "Just a moment, sweetheart. We have to wait for your brother," Clara replied, scanning the crowd for Max. He was 13, a budding teenager who often preferred the company of video games to that of his mother and sister. Yet, there he was, lost amid a crowd of towering adults, his gaze fixed on posters of the evening's performers. "Max, come on," Clara called, her voice cutting through the din. She felt a rush of mixed emotions as he ambled over, an annoyed expression etched on his face. It was a familiar look, one that both frustrated and amused her. "Why do we have to be here so early?" he grumbled, his slouch indicating disinterest. "Because I want you both to enjoy this," Clara responded, her tone gentle yet firm. "It's not just a concert. It's an experience. You might even love it." Max rolled his eyes but softened slightly as he caught sight of the elaborate chandeliers above. "Fine, whatever," he mumbled, a hint of reluctant curiosity creeping into his voice. Clara's heart swelled at the thought of their shared moment, even if it seemed more like a chore to him. As they made their way to their seats, Clara caught sight of a man who stood out amongst the crowd. He was tall, with dark hair that brushed his collar and a well-tailored suit that spoke of wealth and privilege. His presence was magnetic, drawing the attention of those around him, yet he seemed entirely focused on a small child, perhaps his daughter, who clutched a toy violin. "Look, Mom," Lily's voice broke through Clara's thoughts. "He looks like a prince." Clara chuckled softly, her heart warming at her daughter's innocent enthusiasm. He might be a prince in disguise," she teased back, nudging Lily playfully. Once they settled into their seats, the lights dimmed, and Clara felt a tingle of excitement ripple through her. The orchestra began, their collective breath held tightly as the first notes reverberated through the concert hall. Clara smiled, stealing glances at her children, mesmerized by the music. Yet, amidst the enchanting melodies, Clara's mind drifted back to the enigmatic man. She caught him glancing in her direction, his gaze lingering a moment too long before he turned back to his daughter, who was swaying to the music. Clara felt a flutter in her chest, a strange mix of intrigue and apprehension. After the first piece concluded, the audience erupted into applause, and Clara turned to Lily, her face alight with joy. "What do you think? Isn't it amazing?" "It's the best," Lily gushed, her enthusiasm infectious. Max, however, merely offered a half-hearted clap, still absorbed in his own world, glancing at his phone under the seat. Clara sighed, a pang of disappointment striking her. She longed for shared moments, for memories that would bind them as a family after the loss of her husband. She caught the man's gaze again, and this time he offered a slight smile, something warm that made her feel inexplicably drawn to him. As the concert progressed, Clara found herself inching toward the edge of her seat, her heart racing with each crescendo. She reveled in the beauty of the music, but also in the vibrant atmosphere of the hall. It reminded her of the nights she and her husband had spent immersed in the arts, discussing the nuances of each performance. When the intermission arrived, Clara stood, stretching her legs and turning to her kids. "How about we grab some snacks? It's a long night." "Ugh, fine," Max said, shoving his phone into his pocket with a reluctant sigh. "Can I get popcorn?" Lily asked eagerly, her eyes widening at the thought. "Of course, sweetie," Clara replied, her heart lightening as she watched her daughter's excitement. As they made their way towards the refreshment area, Clara felt a gentle nudge at her shoulder. She turned to see the tall man from earlier, his expression relaxed yet curious. "Excuse me," he said, his voice smooth like warm honey. "I couldn't help but notice your daughter's enthusiasm. It's refreshing to see someone so captivated by music." "Thank you," Clara replied, a small blush creeping up her cheeks. She's always had an ear for it. "We're just here to enjoy the evening." "I'm Liam, by the way," he introduced himself, extending a hand. Clara hesitated for a moment before shaking it, her heart racing again at the warmth of his grip. "Clara," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She was acutely aware of her children nearby, yet they seemed oblivious to the moment unfolding between her and this striking stranger. "I have a daughter, too," Liam said, nodding toward the little girl beside him, who was now mimicking the musicians on stage with her toy instrument. "Her name is Sophie. She's 7 and adores playing pretend." Clara smiled, imagining the two girls together, immersed in their own little world of music. "That sounds lovely. They'd probably get along great. Perhaps we could arrange a play date," Liam suggested, his eyes twinkling with mischief. After all, they share a love for the arts and a bit of imagination. "Oh, I don't know about that," Clara replied, her heart racing at the thought. A play date would mean more interactions, more moments like this, but it also stirred a dread of potential complications. "It might be a bit too much." "Just an idea," he said, his tone light but with an underlying sincerity. "I understand if you're cautious. It's a lot to ask." There was a brief silence, and Clara felt herself drawn into his gaze, those dark eyes reflecting a depth that hinted at untold stories. It was thrilling, yet unsettling, a spark of uncharted territory that ignited her curiosity. "Mom, can we get snacks now?" Max interrupted loud enough to break the spell. "Right, of course," Clara replied, flustered and grateful for the distraction. She shot Liam an apologetic smile. "I should get back to them." "Of course. Perhaps we'll run into each other again," he said, taking a step back. The subtle flirtation in his voice sent a wave of warmth through her, even as she felt the weight of commitment and responsibility cling to her. "Yeah, perhaps," she echoed, her heart inexplicably heavy as she turned to join her children. Behind her, she could feel his gaze linger, and it sent a shiver down her spine, an intoxicating mixture of excitement and fear. As they stood in line, Clara's thoughts raced. She could feel the weight of both her past and future colliding, the remnants of her grief fighting with the flickers of hope that Liam's presence stirred within her. Could she allow herself to connect with someone new? To embrace the possibility of companionship again? "Mom, are you listening?" Max asked, breaking through her reverie. "Sorry, what did you say?" Clara replied, shaking herself from her thoughts. "I said, can we get pretzels?" he repeated, an eye roll accompanying his request. "Sure, pretzels it is," Clara said, forcing a smile. But as she gazed back toward where Liam had stood, he was gone, swallowed by the crowd, leaving only the lingering warmth of their brief encounter and the questions it inspired. By the time the concert resumed, Clara found herself distracted. The music washed over her, but her thoughts danced around the possibility of what could have been. As the violin soared and the audience swayed, she couldn't help but wonder if this encounter marked the beginning of something new. Something she had thought was lost forever. The concert resumed, but Clara found herself only half listening to the music. Each note seemed to resonate within her, but her mind was ensnared in thoughts of Liam. Who was he really? Behind that charming smile, what stories lay hidden? "Mom, did you hear that?" Max's voice cut through her reverie, drawing her back into the throbbing heart of the concert hall. Ha! What? Clara turned to her son, who was now leaning forward in his seat, his eyes wide with excitement. That part was amazing. I think the violins just won the battle against the cellos, he exclaimed, his enthusiasm contagious. Clara felt a flicker of pride that he found joy in the performance. Yeah, it was great, she replied, forcing a smile as she glanced at Lily, who was swaying in her seat, completely lost in the music. Clara's heart swelled with a bittersweet mix of happiness and longing, the memories of her husband swirling in her mind. As the final piece of the concert approached, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting within her. She had spent so long guarding her heart, allowing the weight of grief to dictate her life. Yet here was Liam, an unexpected spark in an otherwise routine evening. Mom, I really liked that, Lily whispered excitedly as the last notes faded, and the audience erupted into applause. Clara smiled down at her daughter, whose eyes sparkled with joy. I'm so glad, sweetheart, Clara said, brushing a strand of hair behind Lily's ear. It was beautiful, wasn't it? Can we go backstage and meet the musicians? Max chimed in, his voice full of youthful hope, his earlier disinterest forgotten. Let's see how the night unfolds, Clara replied, her heart still racing from the encounter with Liam. But first, let's get some fresh air. How about that? The trio made their way out of the concert hall, the cool night air brushing against Clara's skin, invigorating her spirit. She took a deep breath, allowing herself to feel the excitement of the evening mingle with the lingering warmth of her unexpected meeting. Look, Mom, the stars are so bright, Lily pointed up, her small hand stretching towards the sky, her voice bubbling with wonder. Yes, they are, Clara replied, gazing up at the twinkling lights. In that fleeting moment, she felt the weight of her grief lift, replaced by a flicker of hope. Hey, can we go to that little cafe nearby? Max suggested, scanning the street for familiar landmarks. I heard they have the best hot chocolate. Clara glanced at her watch. We have a bit of time before the second half starts. A quick hot chocolate won't hurt. The joy in her children's faces brightened her heart, and she could feel the warmth of a smile spreading across her lips. As they walked towards the cafe, Clara felt the familiar rhythm of being a mother enveloping her. She listened to her children's chatter, their voices blending into a beautiful symphony that contrasted with the music they had just heard. Mom, can we sit outside? Lily asked, her face scrunching up as she clutched her toy violin, still buzzing with energy. Of course, darling, Clara replied. They settled at a small table, and she ordered 3 hot chocolates, each topped with a generous swirl of whipped cream. As the waiter walked away, Clara's heart raced with thoughts of Liam again, wondering if he was still somewhere close by. The anticipation had morphed into a strange longing, one she hadn't felt in years. Mom, are you okay? Max asked, concern etched on his face. You look a bit spaced out. I'm fine, just thinking, Clara replied, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her voice. Thinking about what? He pressed, his curiosity stubborn. Just life, Clara said softly, taking a moment to gather herself. You know how it goes. Sometimes I just get lost in my thoughts. Max nodded, but Clara could sense his skepticism. He was no fool. He knew there was more beneath the surface. Mom, it's okay to miss Dad, Max said, his voice unexpectedly serious. You can talk to us about it. Clara's heart swelled with gratitude. I know, sweetheart. She hesitated, unsure of how to articulate her feelings. It's complicated, you know, because you don't want to replace him. Lily chimed in, her innocence piercing the air like a fragile thread. Kind of, but it's more than that, Clara replied, her voice thick with emotion. I want you both to be happy. That's all that matters. Lily's eyes sparkled, her small hand reaching across the table to squeeze Clara's. We're happy, Mom. We love you. And I love you both, Clara said, a tear escaping her eye before she could stop it. She quickly wiped it away, laughing softly. Now, let's celebrate our outing with some hot chocolate. As they enjoyed their drinks, laughter shared between them was a balm to Clara's soul. But the thoughts of Liam loomed like a distant star, a cosmic reminder of the possibilities that lay ahead. After the delightful respite, they headed back to the concert hall. As they approached the entrance, Clara felt a peculiar flutter in her stomach. She scanned the crowd, hoping to catch a glimpse of Liam. "Are we late?" Max asked, glancing at his watch, his impatience returning. "Not yet," Clara assured him, though her heart raced at the thought of whether she would see Liam again. As they settled into their seats, the orchestra began tuning their instruments, the sound reverberating through Clara's entire being. It was time for the second half, and she felt a thrill of anticipation mingling with her lingering anxiety. Just as the lights dimmed, Clara felt a presence beside her. She turned her head slowly, and there was Liam, his striking figure illuminated by the stage lights, looking every bit as composed and charming as before. "Fancy meeting you here," he said, a playful grin dancing on his lips. "Liam!" Clara exclaimed, her heart racing. "I didn't think I'd see you again." "Neither did I, but here we are," he replied, leaning closer, his voice low, as if they were sharing a secret even amidst the bustling crowd. "Would you mind if I joined you?" "Not at all," Clara said, her heart fluttering as he settled into the empty seat beside her. "Is this an obligatory family outing?" he asked, his gaze flitting between Clara and her children. "Or do you genuinely enjoy music?" "We're a bit of both," Clara admitted, her cheeks warming. "I really wanted them to experience live music, and I thought it would be a fun change of pace." "Your daughter seems to be particularly enchanted," Liam observed, his gaze fixed on Lily, who was humming along with the orchestra, her eyes wide with wonder. "Music has always been a passion of hers," Clara replied, warmth flooding her voice. "Max, well, he's still figuring it out." "It's good to see him here," Liam said, his tone sincere. "It's easy to lose touch with what makes us feel alive, especially at that age." Clara sensed the subtle shift in their conversation, the easy banter charged with an undercurrent of something deeper. "And what about you? What drew you to the concert tonight?" Liam paused, his expression momentarily thoughtful. "I've always found solace in music. It's been a refuge during difficult times," he admitted. "Me too," Clara said quietly, the weight of their shared experiences weaving an invisible bond between them. "It's comforting." As the orchestra reached a crescendo, Clara felt her heart race, not just from the music but from the chemistry that crackled between her and Liam. She found herself stealing glances at him, noticing the way his dark hair fell across his forehead, the way he leaned slightly toward her, as if drawn in by an unseen thread. "What do you think?" he asked, his gaze steady and earnest. "It's beautiful," Clara responded, their eyes locking for a fleeting moment that felt electric. "Not just the music, Clara," he said, his voice lower, tinged with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "What do you think about this? Us?" She felt a blush creep up her neck, igniting a warmth beneath her skin. "I think..." She hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing upon her. "I think it's important to be cautious, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Caution is wise, but don't you think taking risks is equally important?" Liam countered, his voice low and persuasive. "You seem like someone who's spent too long playing it safe." His words struck a chord deep within her, resonating through her like the final notes of the orchestra. Clara felt the walls she had built around her heart beginning to tremble, her instincts warring with her fears. "If I take risks, I have to be prepared for what comes next," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Then let's take it slow," he proposed, his gaze unwavering. "No pressure." As the concert continued, Clara felt the weight of Liam's gaze beside her, a palpable presence that seemed to vibrate in tune with the music. The orchestra poured their hearts into each note, and Clara's own heart seemed to echo that intensity, fluttering at the edges of her mind. "Do you think they'll take a break soon?" Max whispered, leaning forward in his seat, eyes still glued to the stage. I want to see the drum solo. Patience, Max. Just a bit longer, Clara replied, her voice soft, though her mind was tangled in thoughts of Liam. She could feel the magnetic pull between them, an invisible thread that demanded attention even amid the rich orchestral sounds. What's your favorite instrument? Liam asked suddenly, breaking through her reverie. His dark eyes sparkled with curiosity. Piano, Clara replied instinctively. It's so expressive, and the emotions it can convey are just breathtaking. She found herself warming to the conversation, despite the reservations that tugged at her heart. How about you? Definitely the cello, Liam said, his voice dropping lower as if he were sharing a secret. It has this soulful depth that resonates with me. It's like a voice that speaks directly to the heart. I can see that, Clara said, her thoughts drifting to the night she and her late husband attended a chamber music concert, losing themselves in the sounds and each other. Music has a way of connecting us, doesn't it? It does, Liam replied, their gazes meeting again, the air thick with unspoken potential. It can break barriers, create intimacy, and evoke feelings we sometimes hide from ourselves. Clara felt a tug of warmth at his words, each syllable weaving deeper into her consciousness. When you put it that way, it feels almost magical. Magic is just another form of reality, don't you think? Liam mused, leaning slightly closer, his arm brushing against hers. Clara could feel her heart race at that simple touch, the warmth sparking a cascade of thoughts and emotions she hadn't entertained in years. Maybe, she said, her voice faltering gently. But reality can be harsh as well. It's hard to believe in magic when life has dealt its share of tough hands. Liam's expression grew serious, a thoughtful furrow appearing on his brow. You've faced challenges, haven't you? I can see it in your eyes, the weight of those experiences. Clara swallowed hard, shaken by the abruptness of his observation. It hasn't been easy, she admitted quietly, suddenly feeling vulnerable. But I'm just trying to build a good life for my kids. It's all that matters to me. I get that. His voice was steady, reassuring. But you can also build a life for yourself. It's okay to want more than just survival. You deserve joy, Clara. Her heart twisted at his words, a mix of fear and longing bubbling to the surface. What did it mean to seek joy again? Was it selfish? I don't know if I'm ready for that, she confessed, feeling more exposed than she had in years. Ready or not, sometimes joy finds us when we least expect it. Liam smiled softly, the light in his eyes unwavering, his sincerity washing over her like a comforting embrace. Maybe, Clara mused, her gaze drifting back to the stage, where the musicians swayed, caught in the music's spell. But I'm worried I'll lose sight of what's important. Your kids are important, but so are you, he replied gently, nudging her shoulder with his in encouragement. Finding a balance doesn't mean abandoning them. It means enriching all of your lives. Clara turned to him, taking in the earnestness of his expression. It's complicated. I've built walls to protect myself, from hurt and from the idea of moving on. Walls can be comforting but also isolating, Liam said, lowering his voice, his gaze steady. Sometimes letting someone in can be the first step toward healing. As the final piece of the concert approached, Clara felt the weight of his words settle within her. Could she allow herself to feel again? To let someone in? Just then, the music crescendoed, stirring her emotions to the surface. She took a deep breath, feeling the vibrations of the orchestra course through her, resonating with her innermost thoughts. "Mom, did you hear that?" Max exclaimed, his voice breaking through the moment, eyes wide with excitement. "That was epic." "Yes, it was," Clara replied, smiling at her son's enthusiasm, her heart swelling with a bittersweet blend of joy and longing. "Can't believe you want to leave this place without meeting the musicians," he complained, crossing his arms in mock frustration. "Not just yet," Clara reassured him, glancing at Liam, who had a knowing smile on his face, clearly amused by Max's impatience. I think we should give them a few minutes to breathe, Max, Liam chimed in, his tone lighthearted. But I promise we'll find a way to make that happen. Fine, Max said, though he still wore a pout, glancing at the stage. Clara noticed the impatience in his demeanor, but also felt a flicker of gratitude toward Liam for easing the tension. As the concert concluded and applause erupted throughout the hall, Clara clapped along with the audience, her heart dancing between the sheer beauty of the moment and the thrill of having met Liam. When the lights finally came up, Clara turned toward him, her heart racing. Thank you for everything. I didn't expect to feel so connected to someone tonight. Neither did I, Liam said, his gaze steady, sincere. It's refreshing to talk to someone who understands the weight of both joy and sorrow. Maybe it's the music, Clara suggested lightly, though the flicker of connection between them felt undeniable. Or maybe it's us, he replied, his voice low yet charged, the air around them thick with unacknowledged tension. I'd like to explore that connection further if you're open to it. Clara's heart raced as she considered his words. Could she really take that leap? What are you suggesting? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Let's start with coffee or lunch. No pressure, just two people enjoying each other's company, he offered, his tone tentative yet hopeful, as if he were offering her a lifeline. She hesitated, her thoughts swirling with conflicting emotions. I'm not sure if I... Clara, just think about it, he interrupted gently, his eyes softening as he searched her face. Life is too short to hold back. The sincerity in his voice struck a chord within her, awakening something deep and dormant. Okay, she finally said, her voice steadying. I'll think about it. But please, give me some time. Absolutely, Liam replied, his smile brightening the space between them. No rush. Just know that I'm here. With that, Clara felt as if a door had been opened, a glimmer of hope shining through. Max and Lily were gathering their things, and she felt a rush of warmth as they made their way out of the hall, Liam falling into step beside them. Can we go backstage? Can we, Mom? Max persisted, his excitement infectious. Let's see if we can make that happen, Clara said, her heart lighter now, thoughts racing toward possibilities she'd never allowed herself to consider before. As they exited the hall, the night wrapped around them, and Clara stole a glance at Liam. He met her gaze, and in that fleeting moment, they shared an unspoken understanding, a promise of what could be. Thank you for tonight, she said quietly, feeling the warmth of the moment suffuse her heart. I should be thanking you. You made it unforgettable. He smiled, his eyes sparkling in the night air, a beacon of fascination that ignited the first embers of something new. And as they walked into the cool evening together, Clara felt a twinge of excitement course through her, a whisper of magic unfurling in her heart, one note at a time. As they stepped out onto the bustling street, Clara tightened her grip on Lily's hand, feeling the cool evening air invigorate her senses. The concert hall was alive with laughter and chatter, the night beckoning them to embrace its possibilities. Max, still bubbling with excitement, was already on his phone, searching for photos from the performance. I can't believe we missed the drum solo, he lamented, eyes glued to the screen. Maybe next time, Clara replied, forcing a smile as she caught Liam's gaze. He stood a little apart, watching them with an amused smile, his expression warm and inviting. Her heart fluttered at the thought of their earlier conversation, the tiny sparks that had ignited between them. Would you like to join us backstage? Max blurted out, his enthusiasm unabated as he looked at Liam, eyes wide with hope. Max! Clara exclaimed, her cheeks heating slightly. She hadn't intended to put Liam on the spot. We can ask the staff, but it's not guaranteed. Liam chuckled softly, his eyes sparkling with amusement. I'd love to, but perhaps we should let the kids enjoy the moment first. Ah, come on, just a quick peek. Max pressed, his voice full of youthful determination. Clara shot her son a sideways glance, appreciating his adventurous spirit but also wary of the potential chaos. Let's see if they're open to it, okay? She felt apprehensive about intruding, yet Max's excitement tugged at her heartstrings. Sounds fair, Liam agreed, his gaze flicking to Clara with a mixture of understanding and warmth. But I confess, I'm curious about your kids' thoughts on the performance. Just a quick peek, then, Max exclaimed, his face lighting up with determination. I mean, we're already here. Why not? Okay. Clara relented, laughing softly at his enthusiasm. Let's ask. As they approached the staff at the concert hall, Clara felt an unusual mix of hope and anxiety rolling through her. The thought of venturing backstage felt exhilarating yet daunting. What would they see, hear, and feel behind the curtain of the concert? Excuse me, Clara said, glancing at the staff member. Is it possible to take a quick look backstage? The staff member raised her eyebrows, considering for a moment before offering a polite smile. It's a bit hectic back there, but if you keep it short, I can allow it. Just be mindful of the crew. Max practically bounced on his feet. Thanks so much, he exclaimed, his excitement palpable as they were led toward the backstage entrance. Liam fell into step beside Clara, their shoulders brushing, sending a jolt of electricity through her. Looks like you've got a little concert lover on your hands, he said, a teasing lilt to his voice. He's certainly passionate, Clara replied, her heart fluttering at the prospect of sharing this moment with him. I just hope we don't disrupt anything. Life is all about the unexpected, Liam mused, his gaze steadied on her. Sometimes the best moments happen when we take a little risk. Clara felt a warmth blossom in her chest at his words, the subtle encouragement empowering her. You make it sound so easy, she said softly, her gaze meeting his, the tension between them palpable. I've spent so long trying to hold everything together that I sometimes forget how to take those risks. You're not alone in that. There was sincerity in his voice. We all have our burdens to carry. Before she could respond, the staff member stopped at a curtain, gesturing for them to enter. Clara's breath caught as they stepped into the backstage area, a world apart from the magic of the concert hall. The atmosphere was a flurry of activity, musicians packing their instruments, crew members darting about, and the remnants of the evening's performance lingering in the air. "Ah!" Max exclaimed, eyes wide with wonder as he took in the scene. This is so cool. Lily clutched Clara's hand tightly, her face a mix of awe and shyness. Mom, look, she whispered, pointing at a violinist tuning her instrument, a focused expression on her face. Clara smiled, her heart swelling with pride for her children. Let's be quiet and respectful, she whispered back, guiding them deeper into the chaos. As they walked further in, Clara felt Liam's presence beside her, a steady anchor in the whirlwind of excitement. This is quite the adventure, he murmured, leaning down slightly to speak to her. I didn't expect this at all, she replied, allowing herself to enjoy the moment. The energy humming in the air stirred something inside her, a reminder of the beauty that life could offer. Max darted away, drawn by the sight of a musician laughing with a group of friends, while Lily lingered by Clara's side, her wide eyes absorbing every detail. Clara noticed Liam watching her children with a soft expression, a mix of admiration and delight. They're incredible, he said, his tone sincere. You must be very proud. I am, Clara replied, feeling a rush of warmth at the compliment. They've been through so much. Just being here is a triumph for us. Liam's gaze shifted to her, a hint of empathy dancing in his eyes. You're doing an amazing job, Clara. It's not easy, especially after everything. Clara felt a lump form in her throat, the tenderness of his words resonating deeply within her. Thank you. She forced a smile, grateful for his understanding but wary of the emotions skimming just beneath the surface. As they continued moving through the backstage area, the sounds of laughter and music enveloped them. Clara felt herself relax, the tension lifting just a little. She glanced at Liam, who was watching her with a mixture of admiration and curiosity, drawing her in. Before she could speak, Max returned, animatedly recounting his interaction with the drummer. Mom, you have to see this. He showed me his sticks and everything. Sounds like you made quite the impression, Clara said, her heart lightening at his enthusiasm. They're just people, you know, Max replied, his voice full of wonder. I didn't think they'd be so normal. Normal is often where the magic is, Liam said, a knowing smile on his lips. Clara felt a flicker of connection spark between them again, their shared understanding deepening with every exchanged glance. As they exited the backstage area, Clara felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. The experience had been unexpectedly enriching, and the bond growing between her and Liam felt both exhilarating and overwhelming. Thank you for coming with us, Liam, Clara said as they stepped back into the cool night air. This has been unforgettable. My pleasure, he replied, his gaze steady and sincere. I enjoyed every moment. Can we go get ice cream now? Max piped up, breaking the tension of the moment. A wide grin plastered across his face. Clara chuckled, glancing at Liam. How about it? Ice cream after a concert sounds like a tradition worth starting. I'd be honored to join, he said, his charming smile lighting up his features. As they strolled down the street, the energy of the evening still thrumming in Clara's veins, she felt the weight of uncertainty lift. With Liam by her side, the world began to feel a little brighter, a little more full of promise. Did you really enjoy the concert? She asked Liam, hoping to draw him into the conversation. Absolutely, he replied, a glimmer of enthusiasm in his eyes. It resonated with me in ways I didn't expect. I wasn't just a spectator. I felt every note. Clara studied him, intrigued by his passion. What about music speaks to you so profoundly? It's a form of expression that transcends words, he said, his tone deepening with emotion. When you listen closely, you can feel the raw essence of humanity, the highs, the lows, the intricacies of life. His words hung in the air, stirring something within Clara. I used to feel that way too. It's been a long time since I've allowed myself to be swept away by music. Perhaps it's time to rediscover that part of yourself, he suggested gently, his gaze unwavering. Life is meant to be experienced, not just endured. Clara felt her heart race at his words, the truth resonating deep within her. You make it sound so simple, she said softly, her thoughts swirling. Maybe it is, in its own way, Liam replied, his expression sincere. Taking small steps toward joy can lead us to unexpected places. As they reached the ice cream shop, the vibrant colors and sweet aromas enveloped them in warmth. Clara felt a bubble of anticipation rise within her, the thrill of possibilities unfurling like the petals of a blooming flower. What flavors should we get? Max asked, his eyes darting between the colorful options. Let's make it a fun adventure. Everyone pick something different, Clara suggested, feeling the lightness of the moment. I want chocolate, Lily declared, her eyes shining with excitement. Mint chip for me, Max chimed in, bouncing on his feet.